again, I told you about that Kikuki. What he argues, and this is probably going to be very controversial, is that the vast majority of the Negro Egyptian word and vocabulary comes from a word for tree. And we got to understand how words are built. Like, you got to understand, like, I had a video ready, but it was just acting up. I didn't include it. But it's this linguist, one who's very racist and just off the wall. But, a broken clock is right twice a day. And on this particular point, in the lecture that he was doing, he mentioned that when he was in South Africa studying certain Bantu languages, for the people who did not have writing, he said it was a woman who asked him a question, do you know all the words in your language? And he was like, well, no. He's like, well, we know all the words in our language, And he's like, well, how can you know all the words in your language? Not understanding that in the oral tradition, you can't have thousands upon thousands, saying the words, you're not going to remember all of them. So you keep a small group of words and you just combine them in a way that you can expand to discuss, different aspects of your reality. And so, we see this evident in the reconstruction. So, for example, this word ka or ki for stick. We know it in ancient Egyptian is ket for thing. But the determinative still has the stick. And if you know anything about the ancient Egyptian writing, they did not write out their vowels. And so how do you know what the word is talking about with just consonants? They put pictures at the end of the words that coincide with the fundamental word itself. So when we're talking about a thing or an object, he'll put a thing or an object. If it's an idea, it's a papyrus roll, to get you to think about thinking and stuff like this. Dealing with nature, water, whatever, they put a determinative at it. And so this word ka or ki becomes a word for object, but then it has an expanded meaning for tool, for thing. It becomes in a secondary semantic branch for hard, force, then hurt, dangerous, stone. All from these same fundamental roots. This ku, tree, word for foot, place, to be. This is ultimately where we get the word geb from in earth, and igbo, forest. So when we talk about the Igbo people, this is the people of the forest. It's the same word as geb. We say geb in ancient Egyptian. It's just a word for earth, land, forest, all of that. But this ku, the W becomes rounded and becomes a B sound. So that's where the B comes from. But, again, I'm trying not to get technical, but, the same word for foot, place is, again, the same word for ground, earth. Actually, this is where we get the word ma'at from as a base. Because if ma'at it's a word for foot base. And actually even the word kemet itself. And so I know in certain circles I've upset a lot of people because they want to argue that kemet means black. But it doesn't. It's just a word for land, country. But it has a more fundamental meaning of foot, ground. And so that's what they associate. The human body is the basis for all of our language, and so they related everything to the foot, which also relates to the tree. And I put forth the hypothesis that this may be evidence, from an evolutionary standpoint of coming from, the forest in terms of that evolution, because the tree is our life, so you're going to relate everything to it. But